for compensation benefits. What is that one has to discuss? I'll broadly classify the question, or probably will definitely categorize this under various subtopics. Like what are the things that any candidate must get as part of this offer, right?
क्लास चल रहा हो
Okay. Does someone want to talk about?
No, I'll just remove them.
Okay, sure. So basically, our compensation is broadly classified. I'll just narrate it in a very simple words. Our compensation is broadly classified into our fixed compensation, our short-term incentives, which is otherwise a variable pay compensation. Third one is our long-term incentives. Again, long-term incentives is something which has been given to a senior management people. I would just say that, right? Again, it depends on the role that anyone is joining, right? So these are the broader classification of only the compensation. Now coming to the benefits, there are certain benefits which is regulated by statutory, and hence these benefits has to be given. There are certain benefits which are good to be given, right? And there are certain benefits which is designed very specific to the industry, right? If I talk, let me tell you one example on this specific to the industry. If I talk about the banking industry, they will offer you a benefit, like let's say you're joining any bank, right? For example, Axis Bank. Then probably Axis Bank will give you a loan at a very subsidized rate of interest. Let's say the market rate is 10%, you may get this loan at about 7%. So the 3% benefit that you are getting it is a benefit to you, right? So likewise, many such benefit keep coming. If I talk about manufacturing companies, they give you food benefits, a subsidized food things, right? So these are certain benefits. Just to give you an example, all the flavor of what is the benefit all about. Right. So far, am I clear? Any doubts on this? Please stop me wherever you feel you have any doubt or any questions. Yeah. All right. So again, compensation is fixed compensation is further divided into various component, which is known as salary structure. Why the salary structure, especially in India, plays a very vital role? Because basis the structure, you get your statutory benefits like gratuity, leave encashment, right? And the PF and ESIC, if applicable. ESIC if applicable, but PF is yes for sure, right? So these are the components which drives our benefit structure as well, right? Now, moving further from a salary component to another further compensation structure or salary structure is, we have basic, we will have HRA, we will have special allowance. These are a very broad classification of a fixed salary components. But now coming to the FBP. What is FBP? Can anyone say about this? I want to be a little interactive session.
It's a flexi bone benefit plan which is offered by the companies.
Right. Absolutely right,
interest,
Mantri.
income tax.
Absolutely right. So why is it known as flexi? Any thoughts around it?
Maybe it is variable and
yeah. So let's say
you can choose any from these, any of the benefits.
Right.
If they have various
Right. Yeah. So you can design your own salary structure with the within the given kitty, right? Let's say fixed compensation is, for example, about 40 lakhs, out of which 10 lakh is allocated to basic, 10 lakh is allocated to HRA. Still, you have another 10 lakhs as part of your flexi. you can decide how much you want to allocate it under different heads of flexi. Again, flexi is a component or the structure that is defined by the organization. Now, certain organizations will have LTA, uniform, they will have telephone reimbursement, they will have professional development allowance, they may have food coupons, right? Again, we can drill down to the extent the how it has been given in the industry. Now let's say if I talk about manufacturing industry, they will have children education allowance, they will have uniform allowance or attire allowance, right? So these allowance are given because the employees can get tax exemption, and hence it is very important, right, from an industry standpoint. So this flexi benefit plays a very vital role in your tax saving or financial planning perspective. How you want to make it, that is really crucial when you define your own flexi benefit packages. Okay. uh, there are I can just list out few, but there is a hunting list of it, very specific to industries as well. I will also tell some of the benefits that one would not have even heard about it, right? There is a basically hillside allowance. What is the significance of this allowance? Does anyone know? Because I know majority of the people are from defense and stuff. And at least I have seen this component being given even in the private companies.
Okay, maybe if they are located near hill or something, or challenging places basically.
Yeah, yeah, rightly said, Basanti. So basically, this is something which is given as a benefit or allowance where employees get the exemption under the Income Tax Act, right? And let's say if an employee is being deployed in a remote place where the person is working in extremely critical weather condition, right, in the hillside, then they will get this allowance, and that allowance is tax free. So it is important for every individual to know the structure of their compensation. Okay. Any doubts so far? While I don't want to be, I don't want it to be monologue. I want everyone to participate, and hence I'm just checking with all of you. All right. So it is important to structurize your flexi benefit and understand if there are certain underlying clause. Let's say when I talk about LTA, what is the clause that's been defined by the organization? Now, LTA as a guiding principle by the statutory bodies, they say LTA can be claimed twice in a block of 4 years, right? But then there are certain underlying clause by the organization also. Now, there are organizations, if I don't claim my LTA, let's say I have an eligibility of 50,000 for this year, right? For the year 23-24, I'm not claiming this 50,000. I keep it unclaimed with the organization, and I will claim in the subsequent year the 50,000 plus the subsequent year's eligibility of 50,000. All put together, if I claim 1 lakh, right, by submitting the travel bills, then that is still allowed. But there are certain organizations who will say, we will not keep any unclaimed amount beyond the financial year, because the minute they keep this unclaimed amount beyond the financial year, that becomes a liability in their books, right? and they cannot carry a liability more than a year. Right? These are certain things to be checked before you read an offer letter, or before you get into the details, or you join the organization. Right?
The
So
components of FBA are taxable.
sorry.
Components of FBA are taxable, like LTA, or let's say
No.
petrol allowance, or driver salary, for that matter, such kind of this thing.
It is non-taxable to the extent of the bills submitted. Now, if I have a telephone reimbursement as part of my compensation structure, let's say per month 5,000 is the eligibility, but I'm able to submit the bills only worth of 3,000. Then to the extent of 3,000, I'll get the exemption. Balance 2,000 will become taxable.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So these are definitely certain things that we actually incur as an expense. For example, your food, right? Food coupons that you get by it could be by Sodexo or any other companies, right? You incur an expense to get your groceries and stuff, which will cover your food expenses, and hence you will get the exemption of it. Let's say you get telephone reimbursement. You incur an expense for the telephone bills or the broadband bills, which can be further compensated by the organization, and you will get the necessary exemptions. Likewise, you have vehicle fuel reimbursement. As I said, it's a long list to take it forward, but for now we will just talk about few components. So this is by and large about the flexi benefit pay. Moving on to short-term incentives. Any doubts so far in the fixed compensation?
Deepak, this flexi benefit may vary from company to company, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Other than statutory, the company, whatever they provide,
Yeah.
whenever you discuss these things with HR, you need to ask about this FBP
Absolutely.
also.
Absolutely. So the reason why I said is how it is bifurcated in your offer letter. Let's say for sure 50% of your fixed compensation will be basic, right? Balance 50,000, balance 50% will further be divided between HRA, special allowance, and the flexi pay. Within this flexi pay, what are the components that are there that is being offered by the organization is very important to know. Okay. All right. So any thoughts? Why is it known as fixed pay? Why is it not called pay or anything else? Why an organization call it as fixed pay? Any organization.
Is it that is the only component which will remain fixed and rest all is performance based or something like that?
Absolutely, bang on. So fixed pay, the reason why it is termed as fixed pay, irrespective of the situation outside or within the organization, an employee is supposed to get that pay. Hence, it is known as fixed pay. Be it the natural calamity, be it the organization declared as a bankrupt, the minimum or the liability to the organization is to deliver the fixed pay, right? Hence, it is known as fixed pay. It is not tied to your performance. It is not tied to your behavior. It is not tied to the organization's performance, right? And hence, it is known as fixed pay. Now, moving to the variable pay, or otherwise known as short-term incentives. The reason why it is known as short-term incentives, this gets delivered within within a period of 12 months, right? Some of the companies pay it on a quarterly basis, some companies pay it half-yearly, and few companies pay it on an annual basis. Again, it depends on the organization's payout guidelines, right? How they want to do it. Again, it is a comparable thing with the industry. If I talk about a product company, they will pay it on an annual basis. If I talk about an IT service company, they may pay it on a quarterly basis. The reason behind that, they want to see a continuous performance. But for a product companies, I'm just giving a by and large differentiation at an industry level, the practices at an industry level. So product companies, why do they pay it at an annually? Because for them to launch a product or to see how the product is performing, it takes longer time, right? And hence they want to measure the performance of the organization, of the individual, and they pay it at an annually, right? So short-term incentives, again, there are various way of this getting paid out. The underlying questions that you may ask the HR or the person who has rolled out the offer to you is, you may check what are the terms basis which the short-term incentives will be paid. What are the parameters that will be considered before this short-term incentives will be paid? Is it tied to the goals of only the organization or only the individual, or it's a mixture of both? Let me tell you, my experience is by and large from a manager and above roles, it will be tied to the organization's goals plus the individual goals. When I say organization goals, organization will have certain revenue targets, gross margin targets, or EBITDA targets, right? So these are the organization goals. Now, why do they tie this to the organization goals? Whatever we perform as an individual, right? We contribute to the top line, revenue, gross margin, EBITDA, all of that, right? And hence it is important that your short-term incentives are tied to the organization goals. It can vary, the weightages or the percentages may vary. Let's say my short-term incentive percentage vis-a-vis the CTC is, let's say, 20%. Out of this 20%, I would say another 20% is allocated for the organization goals, and balance 80% is allocated to my individual goals, right? So if organization performs well or exemplary performance, then I may get more than 20% or at 20%, or at times I may get even less than that. Now coming to the individual performance, 80% is the individual performance. Now, out of this 80%, how am I being performing in the organization, right? What is my contribution? Did I reach my targets? So when I say targets, it's not just the numbers every time. There are subjective targets as well. Now, let's say, for example, if I talk about HR, what could be the targets? These are the thoughts that you may be getting it on top of your mind, right? HR also can have a target of balancing the attrition. Attrition is again a number driven, but we may also have certain subjective targets like employee satisfaction rates. Can it be measured? To an extent, I see some people nodding their head yes, some people saying no.
Yes.
Yeah, Manpreet, can it be measured?
Yes, you can conduct survey and take the poll regarding.
But is it 100% in line or accurate?
When you take a poll
Yes,
for
there might be.
Yeah,
Sorry,
please.
sorry.
Yeah, may not be 100% correct, but yes, it will give you some indication.
By and large, let's say around 80 to 90%, Manpreet. Yeah. Good.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, Arun, you were saying something.
Yeah, I would say if you take a poll among the employees about the employee satisfaction level,
Yeah.
it will not be a true figure of what is the right thing, because the no it is linked to pay. Then you will get a value which will be skewed towards getting more pay.
Yeah. So there are different school of thoughts here because there are, let's say, some unsatisfied or unhappy employees. They may not even prefer to, participate in this service, right? And hence you may not get an appropriate result. But there are external, surveys as well in the market through which you can get to know these information, because at times some of the organizations, when they do it an internal survey, they may not get the appropriate results. But for example, when my organization is willing to participate in the GPTW, people will do a survey with my employees. At that point in time, an employee may open up, right? So that will talk about employee satisfaction index. Yeah. All right. So, but yes, it is not 100% measurable. These are very subjective as well as objective. All right. So this is how the parameters can be defined at a different roles. And now, when I talk about roles, short-term incentives are given across various levels. When I talk about levels, it starts, let's say it starts from a first line manager until the senior most person in this organization. It could be even the CEO and the managing director. Does anyone have an idea of what would be the pay mix? When I say pay mix, let's say my pay mix is 80-20. That means 80% is my fixed, 20% is my variable pay, right? So can anyone say what will be the pay mix for a CEO of an organization?
It's other way around.
It is 20-80 or 10-90.
20-80,
Uh, I think it is very aggressive, I would say, Arun. Just paying
No,
10% as fixed might not do a justice to CEO.
because my wife is working in TCS, so the recent pay which the CEO got about 30 crores something, with vis-a-vis what they are getting increment, so then it goes to a level.
All right, so I'll tell you, it would be 60-40. 60% is variable and 40% is fixed. That's generally the industry practice, I would say. Again, it varies from company to company and what they are looking at. But again, at a very senior most level, if the stocks and shares are given, then in that case, it is 30, 30, and 40. 30 is your fixed, 30 is your variable, and 40 is your stocks. Why stocks plays a very vital role? The minute I talk about stocks, I am switching from a short-term incentive to a long-term incentive. So I'll definitely come to long-term incentives as well, but to talk about the short-term incentives. These short-term incentives are calculated in a different way. One is by multipliers, that is taking a very high level individual's performance or individual's performance factor. IPF is the nomenclature that's been used in the industry.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
Hey, hi, good morning, Asha. So I think, sorry. All right. So where I was, I got a little lost. All right. So basically, it is known as IPF and CPF. What is IPF? IPF is your individual performance factor, and CPF is your company performance factor. These are the two multipliers that drives your short-term incentives payout. Now, if the individual performance factor is, let's say, calculated at 95%, right? And the organization performance factor is calculated at 110%. In such cases, a person gets 100% payout. Why? Because 95 and 105, it gets averaged out and you get a payout of 100%. Right? So this is one method of calculating short-term incentive. There is another method which is known as balanced scorecard method. Has anyone heard about this nomenclature? All right. So what is a balanced scorecard method? It talks about different parameters that are being given to the individual. At an org level, there will be two parameters, which is revenue, gross margin, EBITDA, all of that stuff, which is, let's say, 20% of the of my weightage. And balance 80% will have a different weightages. Let's say 20% each of the parameters for spread across 4 parameters. It could be portfolio revenue, portfolio gross margin, CSAT scores, all of that, right? So there are n number of goals that you can set it for your team, for the individuals, right? Having said this, you can define their goals, and as against their goals, you can check how it is being performed, and you can make the payout. Okay, so these are the two different approaches of calculating the short-term incentives. Any doubts so far in short-term incentives?
These performance-based IPF, whatever factors you were mentioning,
Yeah,
that is taken from the manager who is managing the person
absolutely.
and giving the goals.
Absolutely. So it is, if it is at an IPF and CPF, then manager plays a very vital role. But if it is a balanced scorecard method, then these are either number driven, or if it is a very specific information that only the manager can give, then again, information can be gathered from the manager, or it could be the delivery directors, or it could be anyone. Yeah. All right.
Deepak,
Yeah.
I had a question, two
Please.
questions in fact.
Sure, sure. Please.
First is, once a term is told that your CTC that is being offered is, say, for example, 40 lakhs per annum.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean? Does it include the variable pay also? First.
Yeah.
Second is, when you
Go
say
ahead.
that all the short-term incentives and others, there are certain functional roles, let it be security and things which are not connected with the production or with the EBITDA and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what effect does it have on such roles, which is directly not impinging on the production or the profit margin of the company?
Perfect. So a very thoughtful question, I would say, because as I mentioned in the past as well, at a functional roles, let's say HR, does HR contribute to the organization's revenue gross margin directly or maybe indirectly?
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Yeah.
In terms of supply chain of the resource, I would say, but they are not directly influencing the revenues, right? They are indirect contributors of revenue, gross margin, and production. So likewise, if you talk about the security roles, right, they also play a very crucial role, because now let's say, for example, if I talk about, I'm not sure which kind of security roles you are referring to, but I'll just take one example: facility securities, right? Facility securities, let's say, how well it is being managed to ensure that there is no fire, or there is no non-compliance that happens at an organization level, or there is no such incidents that occur in the organization, right? How well it is being managed. So it can be definitely measured. Now let's say security roles, it could be like, we can say that, how many incidents are reported in a quarter, right? So these are certain measurables as a parameter that can be set for these roles.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So every role can be defined basis their goals and the parameters that at an organization wants to define, right? Not necessary that everyone will contribute to the production or to the revenue targets and stuff. There are certain sales role which are directly correlating to the revenues, but there are certain deliverable roles which are not contributing. There are let me talk about my own organization. My own organization has a team called innovation. Can we measure innovation? No, right? So these are how many white papers that we are doing it, all that matters. So it can be measured in something on those lines. All right. So moving ahead, again, the compensation, as I said, for a CEO, it could be 30, 30 and 40, right? So 40 percentage, why the bigger chunk of it is given in form of stocks or shares? Any thoughts around it?
Because that is at his level, that is the most important thing he has to be looking into.
Yeah.
Other things happen. How new mergers, takeovers, or any other new decisions he takes.
Yeah, because these stocks and shares are nothing but are the driver of the business. If the business is performing well, that means my share price will definitely perform well, which in turn means that the CEO of the organization is also an employee, right? Will get better in returns, right? So there is a skin in the game, right? Therefore, it is important that CEO gets about 30 to 40 percentage of long-term incentives. And these are not something which shows as a business outcome in the near future. These are certain strategic decisions that are taken by CEOs, CXOs positions, right? Which will drive the business not for the short term and will not get a yield in a very short term, but it is for a long term. And hence, these are tied to your long term goals, long term benefits, and how they incentivize these roles. Okay. Now, stocks, shares, all of these can be given by different ways. There are multiple vehicles that can be used to give this. There are ESOPs, there are RSUs, there are performance shares, all of that. But what is appropriate to what kind of people, right? That needs to be thought through. If I give an RSU, for example, to a CEO, is it going to help? What is RSU? What is ESOPs? These are different way of giving stocks to the employees. Again, how you want to give, to what level you want to give, that is important. When you define a long-term incentive plan for a set of people, you need to first identify what are your level of people who will be rewarded with this long-term incentive. What are your set of population whom you want to reward, right? Because they should be key drivers to the business. Are they participating in some of the decision making, like let's say CXO roles? Yes, they are one of the participant in drafting or designing the strategy of the organization, right? Hence, it is important to make them part of this program. Now coming to the level below it, will you still give it to a people, let's say AVP or senior director level, right? Yes. Why? Because whatever strategies that are being designed at a CXO levels, that needs to be operationally executed by these set of people. While they may not be doing or executing it on ground, but their directives will help, their advisory will help their team to take this forward, right? And hence it is important to incentivize or probably bring them also as part of this program. Now, the next question will be, let's say I have a director who is of a very key role, right, to the organization, and I want to retain him or bring him as part of this long-term incentive. Should we do that? Again, yes, there are various school of thoughts. Nothing is right or nothing is wrong. How you want to define your structure, that is important, right? Or to whom and all you want to bring it as part of this program, that's important. Okay. So considering these certain key skill sets, which you might not get easily in the market, then it is important for you to retain this set of people. And hence, long-term incentives plays a very vital role. Okay. And that's a tool, a retention tool, I would say, where it can be played in a way where, let's say, a CEO has a skin in the game, and hence they have to be incentivized by giving a different set of stocks. But if you are giving to a person who is a key talent to the organization, you have to give it in a different way. Both of them cannot be given the same stocks and shares. One, because that person has a skin in the game. Another one is a key player where it has to be more as a wealth creation. But if you give it to CEO, it should not be a wealth creation. It should be an organization development, right? So these are various way of distributing your stocks and shares. We can definitely discuss about in detail about ESOPs or RSUs or performance shares and stuff. If needed be, we can have another one more session. But by and large, this is the structure of long-term incentive. All right. So coming to the another piece of our discussion is, how do you read or how do you negotiate on these stocks? Since I'm talking about this long-term incentives, you can definitely discuss with your recruiter or the person who has rolled out your offer, saying that what are the different options that are there in the organization. You can definitely know from them. You can check with them. And nothing is wrong or right when you discuss something with regards to your compensation. It's your right. First, let me infuse a very clear thought saying that understanding your compensation benefit is your rights. Hence, you have to ask n number of questions. You can definitely check. First, when you get a call, let's say I'm looking out in the industry, right? Let's say one recruiter calls me. They'll say, okay, hey, hi, Deepak, I have an exciting opening in so-and-so organization. I will first check, okay, what is the role that you are supposed to offer it to me? Let me tell you, role is different vis-a-vis the designation. Lot of people get carried away with the role or probably the designation. The important aspect to know is your role, right? I have seen people at a VP level, but they are still an individual contributor, right? I have seen a person at a manager level who are still at an individual contributor levels. I have seen manager who is leading a very large team, right? Now, a very first underlying question that you have to ask is whether there is an individual contributor role or a people manager. When they say people manager role, what would be my span of control? Right? So when they talk about span of control, it is important that you know what is your span of control, like how many people you will be controlling, right? And how it is comparable in the industry or the organization. Sorry, not the industry, or the organization. Now, let's say, for example, if I am going to play a senior manager role in a next organization, managing about 100 people under me, while the organization size itself is 1000. That means I am responsible for about 10% of the population. This is how you do a comparison. What is the headcount of the organization? What is the span that I'm going to cover? Right? What will be the business size that I may be responsible for? Let's say if it is a sales role or if it is a delivery roles, right? It is important to know what is the business size or the regions that I'm going to cover. Is it a global role? Is it a regional role? Is it a country specific roles? These are certain underlying questions that you can definitely ask the recruiters. That will give you much more deeper insight how your role is going to be spread. And the next question, let's say you're offering me an X role, saying that a head of so and so, this role will be reporting to whom, right? And what is your career track? What is your hierarchy? And where am I being placed within this hierarchy? These are the questions that you can definitely check with the recruiters. That will give you an insight on how and where you are positioned in the organization, basis which you can start negotiating on the further aspect, right? Am I clear so far? I think making sense. Good. Thanks, Arun, for that thumbs up. All right. So this gives you a first line of information, how your position, what is your span of control, what's your, what's your positioning in terms of your designation, in terms of your role, and in terms of the business size that you're going to handle. So this will give you first information. Second is, basis this information, you can also check the minute all your discussions are done. Let's say you're through with all your rounds of interview, and the final stage where they'll start discussing on the salary. I first would say, never ever you share your salary information. The minute you share your salary information, that means the bargaining capacity reduces there.
Deepak, I just want to interrupt here.
Please.
Usually, what happens is like anybody offering some role or anybody sharing their job description with respect to the companies.
Yeah.
They initially ask us our CTC only.
Perfect, Basanti.
Even
So,
if you say 14 years of experience, industry standards, whatever, but they are very much focused what CTC we are getting.
no, that's true.
Yeah.
See, in the initial stage itself, a very right question, Basanti, and I think the industry practices are this. There are companies, let me tell you, there are companies who believe in a pay transparency. I'll talk about this pay transparency a bit. There are companies who believe that whatever may be your salary, I don't care. I will just give within this range that my organization is following. Right? There are organizations who typically does the way that you said. Right? It is important for us to know first the budget. Before even we reveal our salary information, it is important to know what is the role that they are offering. Then, how am I being positioned? What is the size of the organization? And the fourth question that you can ask is, what is the budget for this role? Because every role that has been given out in the industry for recruitment purpose, right, to get the right candidate, they will have a budget. Without budget, I think no organization works. They may say, I am open to the budget. Fine. But what is bare minimum? Or what is the maximum that you can offer? By that way, you will understand whether this budget is falling within your range or not.
Deepak, so this is something which you can ask the interviewer or you find out from the general domain?
Not general domain, but you can definitely question. See, initially you will get a call from the recruiter, right? You can check with them. The initial call itself, you can check.
Okay. So when they ask you about the CTC, you can ask about the budget.
Exactly. So there is always an discussion, a dialogue between a interviewer and interviewee. So likewise, you can check with them. Okay, fine. I'm okay to share my compensation, but I would also like to understand the appetite of the organization. Right? If I fit, then probably I may definitely tell you. Or let's say my salary is let's say for example 50 lakhs, but the appetite of the organization is 30 lakhs. Will it make sense to have further discussion? No. The discussion ends there, right? And hence it is important to ask the appropriate and the right question at the beginning, instead of taking it until the last stage and then probably getting into a negotiation. Negotiation is always gonna be there. How you negotiate, how you can there are various ways which I'll definitely talk about in a couple of minutes from now. But these are certain questions that you can check so that you will know, okay, what is something that you can benefit out of it. Okay. So this is something which you can ask at the initial stage. Then I definitely spoke about the CTC structure and compensation, how it is spread, fixed. Again, fixed getting further drill down at a component level, salary components, and how FBP plays a very vital role in our tax planning as well. I spoke about the short-term incentive. I spoke about the long-term incentive by and large. Some of the benefits I will definitely touch base upon is now coming to the benefits. These are certain things are very industry specific. As I said, if I go to the banking industry, they may offer me a subsidized rate of loans. If I go to let's say, for example, if I go to manufacturing companies, they may offer me a housing benefits, right? They may say that, okay, fine, you need not go far off from the production site. I will give you a housing facility within the campus, or probably little far away from the campus, right? So understanding the industry and to align it to these industry practices, we can definitely ask for these benefits. What are the benefits? So the first question that you can ask is, what is your compensation structure? What is your pay mix? The first question can be, your pay mix comprises of fixed versus your short-term incentive or long-term incentive, if applicable, right? That's your first question. Then coming to the benefits, what are the benefits that you offer? Like how you ask, what will be my pay mix? You can definitely ask about your benefits also, because benefits is something where you pay little but get in large, right? Example, a very small example is your insurance, medical insurance, group medical insurance, group personal accident insurance, group term life insurance. These are certain benefits where the premiums that are being paid at an organization, at an individual level, is negligible amount. I would say per month it's about 1,000 rupees. But in case if there is a risk, if in such cases, what happens is you get large in return, right? You get that risk coverage, and hence these are termed as a benefits. Benefit, you don't just get it every month on month. It is not a fixed component, but these are something which you will get it when it is really in need, when a person is in need, and hence it is known as benefits. Benefits can also be further categorized as well-being benefits, financial well-being, then mental well-being. These are various benefits that an organization is offering, right? Now, people within, earlier it was known as CNB. CNB was restricting our roles only to the extent of compensation and benefits. But now in the new era, it is known as total rewards, where it is by and large covering your work-life balance, your well-beings, right? All of these aspect gets covered. And hence it is known as total rewards. Because work-life balance is also rewarding. Not everyone gets the work from home option, right? Certain roles will be given work from home option. Certain roles cannot be given work from home option. And hence this falls within the ambit of total rewards. All right, so benefit, we can definitely talk in detail about. These are broadly classified into a statutory benefits and the organization driven benefits. We can definitely question the organization. What are the benefit structure that you have for the employee, and basis which you can definitely negotiate. Let's say you may also check with them. If I'm joining a banking organization and if I'm given a subsidiary on my loan, in such cases, to what extent it can be given? Can it be extended beyond this? Now, there's one aspect of it. Now, coming to the another aspect, which is insurance. Insurance, you are giving me 3 lakh worth of medical insurance. Can I get more than this? I am ready to pay the premium. Does the organization have a program which can give me a top-up loans as top-up insurance coverages as well, right? If yes, then the employees are ready to contribute, but they are also ready to take the risk, right? If they are ready to, if the organization is ready to cover the risk, employees are ready to pay for it, and hence this benefit plays a very vital role. Any doubts so far? I think C and B I have covered. How do you read your offer letters? Yeah, please go ahead, Arun.
One thing is like when you ask, when say benefits like industry specific, like if there is a bank and you get a benefit of loan waiver or percentage waiver, does it still stand when you leave the organization, or you have to pay upfront, or your interest rate comes back? Is just this only example of bank only, but others are also long term. Where does it finish the day you leave the company?
Yes. See, benefits are always tied to the tenure of the organization. Because the minute you part your ways, it's over. Tu kon, main kon. Sorry, but I'm being very cutthroat on this. That's how the industry works. It's not on any specific industry, but then by and large, that's how the industry works.
Okay.
Yeah. So the benefit structure is covered. In terms of negotiation, I think you can definitely ask certain questions. One is, as I said, what is the budget? That will tell you, okay, whether is it feasible for me or my role to fit within this budget. Am I falling within their budget? If no, question ends. If yes, we can take the discussion forward. All right. Then you can definitely reveal your salary. The minute they say my budget is 1 crore, my salary is just 60 lakh, fine. I'm still gonna get about 60% where I can negotiate, right? I can say, okay, fine. My salary is 60 lakh. The budget is up to 1 crore. We can somewhere get fit here. right? Then we will further have a discussion. Now, all your discussions are positive outcome, and you are reaching to a stage which is the final stage where they will get into a salary discussion. They will say, okay, fine, we can give you a 20% increase on 60 lakh on your current salary. So the first thing is, while they had a budget of 1 crore, if they are trying to cut short and say that I can give you only 20%, that means there is a room of negotiation for you. You can start negotiating. You can say how. There are certain points that you have to consider. I'll tell you how you can source the information from the open source, right? Google is the master of all. You can definitely get a salary ranges using certain open source data points like pay scale, right? You can get the information from Glassdoor as well. You can get some information from Naukri if we are able to access or try to gauge some information from there. So you can Google it. You can get the information through these open sources. Pay scale is I think very close by, and there are multiple such places where you can know what is the salary range for this particular role. Let me reiterate, salary range is always on the role, it is not on the designation. Why? Because a role plays a very vital role than a designation. As I said, there can be a vice president playing an individual contributor role. There are managers who are managing about 100 people within the organization, and hence it is important for you to know the role basis which you can have your discussion on the salary. Okay, through these open sources, try to get the salary information. Okay, there are multiple other forums, WhatsApp group, or probably LinkedIn also. There are a lot of groups, or through some other sources also you can fetch this information. These days I think information is available across. If you Google it for, let's say for example, head of talent acquisition role, what is the salary range in India, right? You will get a number of list. It can be an information from Aon. Aon is again a very prominent compensation benchmarking survey provider, right? Willis Towers Watson. These are some of the consulting companies who do the compensation benchmarking, and hence they may have some data points in some of the PDF, and from there I think Google can fetch you this data, right? If need be, you can also let me know for if you are looking for certain specific roles, what could be the salary range. You can Basanti, you can share my contact number also. They can reach out to me and probably I can help you or guide you, because again these ranges are not one stop for all, because it also depends on the size of organization that you're looking at. The range for an organization like large cap companies will be different versus a mid-sized companies versus a small cap companies, right? And hence it is important to know in which bucket you fall in. You're looking, or you're actually trying to bag in a deal with a mid-sized organization, then you have to definitely get into this respective bucket and then try to understand what could be their ranges, right? The minute you get to know the range, you can say, okay, fine, you had a budget of 1 crore. As per the market, I am able to get some information, and I see that most of the people of this role are pegged or are being paid roughly about 75 lakhs, or probably let's say 85 lakhs, right? Then this 85 lakh, does it make sense? Yes, to the organization. That means the organization will also be very serious. Okay, this person has come back to me with some homework. He or she has done some piece of research by themselves to understand what is the industry payouts, right? And he or she is talking with some market data. And on the other hand, I have already revealed my budget. It is falling within my budget. Then they will say, okay, I have another candidate, right? Or probably they'll try to see if you are the best in the industry, or within the list of shortlisted, then they may try to negotiate a little bit and then probably try to close the deal. Or if there is another person who is very close by, then they'll try to negotiate with 2 or 3 different people. So that is again a place where you have to be very cautious. And always, only one point that I want to make it clear is, always say that the discussion that we are having is negotiable. Don't close on certain things. Let's say you just can't say that, I'll not come anything less than 85 lakhs. Probably they may get another candidate less than that. But for you at that given point in time, it's important to back that deal, right? 60 lakh to 85 lakhs is again a very decent increase, right? It's about 35-40%. So, which means above the industry standard at current point in time, with the current economical crisis that's going on, I think it's about 20 to 25%, right? But then if you're getting anything above 25%, I think it is fruitful for a thought. Again, you think through, were you underpaid in the past? If yes, then you try to see or try to determine to what extent you are underpaid. Let's say you are underpaid by 10%, then you may probably add on to whatever they are offering. Let's say 25 plus this 10%, 35%. Anything which is paid up to 35%, I can still take it. But less than this, I think I will still be below the par in the industry. I don't want to get into that situation. There has to be a break-even point at one point in time so that everyone can be at par. And hence it is important for us to bring us to a situation where we meet this break-even point. Yes. So that's how you negotiate with some data points by your homework, some data points from the open sources. You may also check with some of the industry people through HR or through your informal sources. And the another thing is they have already revealed their budget. So if it is falling within the budget, that you can close the deal. If not, then you can try to maximize that or go up to the maximum of the budget and then close the deal. Again, it depends on the individual's appetite, whether they need this job right now or they can still wait for some more time to bag a deal, right? So considering all of these points, probably you can have your negotiation. I think most of the topic I have covered. How do you negotiate? How do you read your comp, the benefit, negotiating on your stocks, giving the right titles. Perfect. So there's one of the thing that I haven't covered. I will definitely touch upon this, and then probably with this will actually come to a Q&A session. So titles, before even we get into the titles, it's important that we check with the recruiter. What is the career track that you have? See, you might have come across a situation where a particular manager or the hiring manager may ask you a question. Where do you see yourself after 5 years? Is that an appropriate question? I would first ask, if I have to be a little rude, I may ask the hiring manager, where were you before 5 years? Did you have an ambition to reach at this level today before 5 years? Right? So these are very vague questions that some of the hiring managers ask. But it is important to know the career track. Within this career track, what is the designation that they are offering me? If I'm being offered a manager, the next career within this career track is the senior manager, directors, senior director, AVP, VP, all of that, then that helps you to identify, if I'm a manager, the next career track or the next promotion line for me is senior manager. Who am I today in my current role? Where am I stuck in terms of positioning? Right? So this will help, the career track will help you to position yourself. It's not just the role that I said, but also the designation. I may be given a role of a global head, but to marry to it, my designation also has to be appropriate. I cannot be called a global head, but I'm just given a designation of a manager. That means there is strong misalignment between a role and a designation, because the role defines your parameters. The role defines your variable pay structure. The role defines your LTI structure. But your designation, where am I? I'm still at a mid-level. So these are the questions that you have to definitely ask the hiring manager or the recruiters for you to understand how it has been positioned. Okay, there is a question. Okay, Asha, I'll definitely address this at the later point in time. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Right. So it is important to check your position, and according to that, you can check, okay, if I'm being offered a manager role, I'll be reporting to whom, right? And that will also help you to determine to what extent you are C-2, C-3, C-4. When I say C is those C suits or CXO levels. Below that, how many levels you are, right? That also means what is your skin in this game or in this role, right? All of these questions are very important. It is not just the recruiters who ask enough empty number of questions to you, but it is also a candidate who can ask a number of questions. A lot of people just say, okay, fine, let's take this forward. They do not ask many questions. You can definitely check with them. That will definitely trigger to a recruiter saying that this person would have done some homework, is really serious about what he or she is looking forward for. Okay. Please ask these appropriate questions to the right person. They will let you know what exactly is the offerings that they have for you, and basis which you can refine your questions and take it forward. Okay, I think with this, I have covered almost all the points that were needed, Basanti. Hidden clauses, I think. Uh, oh, Hidden clauses, I don't think these days company have it, but it is important to read your offer letter very carefully. And if there is any ambiguity or any doubt that you may have, there is always a there is always a benefit to check with the hiring manager or the recruiter, because it is always good to clarify certain things before you join. And trust me, I have managed those leadership roles where they had some queries, and I, before even those leadership role gets hired, I used to clarify their doubts, because when it comes to the compensation, how it has been read by one person to another person, it varies, right? And hence it is important to get these things clarified through the right sources. Yeah. So read your offer letters. If you see any doubts, please do clarify with the hiring manager or the recruiters. Or you think that you have some of the HR friends, or you may please talk to some of your colleagues that these are the points that has been mentioned in the offer letter. How do you read it, right? The perspective may vary from person to person, but it is important to get it clarified than uh, taking up and then probably regretting it at a later point in time. I think I've covered almost all the topic. Any specific questions, I'll be more than happy to take it up. I hope this session was more insightful and it helped you people in knowing certain things, how the comp or the benefit has to be read through. We can definitely have some more sessions as if it is required. We can talk about many such topics within this ambit of compensation benefits or the total rewards. There are companies who are offering much more benefits like salary advance. There are companies who are offering many benefits like transport facilities, which does not even fall within the ambit of your total rewards, but it is over and above your the package, right? So these are certain benefits. There are companies of late out of nowhere, they have started banking on saying that we have a hybrid model of working and all of that. They have started putting this in the offer letters as well. They are showing it as a benefit. Yes, it is a benefit, because why it is benefit? Because if an employee has to commute between home to office, there are a lot of things. It is not just the commuting cost, but look at the female employees. They have to manage their households. They have to manage their entire schedules, right? Uneven timings of work timings, right? All of that has to be managed. Therefore, this comes within the ambit of benefits. Hence, a lot of companies have started putting this as part of their benefit structure. Yeah, any questions, any specific questions, you may please ask me. I'll be more than happy to help you. Basanti will definitely share my contact numbers as well. You can reach out to
All
me.
officers to raise their hands, and we can streamline the Q&A session.
Yeah. Yeah. Please.
Amshu, please go ahead.
Hi, Deepak. I just want to inform you that this session was whatever you said is worth in gold. One thing which I want to say, I recently underwent the negotiations, and whatever you told, I was able to use it, but I was lucky just because I had some friends who helped me out. Just wanted to congratulate you. Just one thing. Second thing is, I would, this is a question which most of them have. So basically, they've been asked whether they can say the salary component or not. Another one important clause is that most of us are also part of a government pay structure, where certain things are doesn't commensurate to the civil world, right? Like, say for example, I get a 2 BHK house in South Kolaba in Mumbai when I'm there in posted in Mumbai. Now, can you compare that in the civil, right? In a South Kolaba 2 BHK home, seafront facing, right? So that's not comparable at all. So I keep telling it to most of my colleagues also, right? Don't give out your compensation. If somebody asks about your compensation, that has nothing to do with what you're supposed to get, right? At the first go. Second thing is, most of them have a thing of, if they're negotiating, like say, for example, with me also, they if something is told from the other side, for them to come back, like for you to say that, I'll think about this and come back, or I'll, work on this and come back. That's very hard for these to do it, because it's not very natural. And some of us are doing it for the first time. I would want you to touch upon this also. Like, say, for example, when you're taking time, how do you go about telling it to the HR? Right. Third thing is my own doubt. I missed the first 5 minutes of your session because I had some range issue. So the basic pay you said is again broken down to components, or the basic pay is the fixed pay? Can you just touch upon that?
So basically, if I talk about the government organizations where basic pay is nothing but your fixed pay, but in this corporate world, I think basic pay is a component of your fixed pay.
Okay, so I think they say it as a base pay, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Right.
In the government organizations, they call it as base pay, which is nothing but your fixed pay. But in the corporate, they call it as basic, BASIC, basic.
Yeah, basic pay. So that's your fixed, right? That's a fixed component. That will include
so fixed pay is further broke down into various salary components. As I said, basic, HRA, special or other allowance, and then your flexi. Flexi is basically given to design your own structure and design or probably plan your tax, right? Hence the flexi plays a very...
So HRA is exclusive of basic pay?
HRA is exclusive. No. So basic is a different. So let's say my basic, my fixed salary is 10 lakhs. Out of this 10 lakh, my basic is, let's say, 5 lakh. 3 lakh is my HRA. 1 lakh is my special allowance, and the balance is my flexi.
Got it. So the 10 lakh is your fixed, and that the HRA is a component of it.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Got it. Understood. Thank you so much.
Sure. Most welcome. All right. So a very fair question, Amshu, when you talk about, never give up on the salary, because there are certain materialistic aspect which you have to discuss with the recruiters, and there are certain things. So like Amshu mentioned, saying that, I get a 2 BHK house and all of that. But these things are the benefit when it comes to the government organizations. But when it comes to the corporate organizations, they cannot afford to give such benefits. And hence, this has to be compensated. Okay. If I have to talk about a comparison between a government organization versus the corporate organizations, government organization has benefit which is way high. Even today, I'm telling you, the best of the best organizations, corporate organizations, private organizations, cannot match the government organization's benefit. Why? Because they cannot afford to have such administrative hassles. For government organization, it is given because they have such length and breadth of administrative excellence within them. But when it comes to the corporate, they cannot do that. I am seeing a very declining situation where housing benefits are being offered. In the past, it used to be there, but I'm seeing a declining trend. Yeah. These benefits has to be materialized or capitalized, I would say, because you were getting a 2 BHK flat in such a posh location, right? If you had to pay rent, right, it might be roughly about 1 lakh. I'm just telling you a number. But when it comes to the corporate organization, you have to bank or probably capitalize this by compensating or getting it as a salary, so that you are not compromising on your standard of living. On any given day, your standard of living cannot come down with what you are getting it right now. Yeah. And I'll just, because Amshu has touched upon this point, I'll just take a minute and share one more thing. See, we have seen COVID situation, right, where a lot of companies have done the pay cuts and stuff. The most or the best way of doing a pay cut is don't touch their fixed pay. The minute you touch the fixed pay, that means you are inviting a trouble. Always touch the short-term incentive. Why? Because if at any point in time you want to reverse it or you want to give it back to the employee, it is easy. You just add that amount back to the short-term incentive. You want to reduce, you reduce it from the short-term incentive. Also, why they should not touch the fixed pay? Underlying reasons: statutory benefit cannot be reduced on any given day, and statutory benefits are derived from the fixed pay, that is your basic and all of that, right? Hence it is important that you cannot touch the fixed pay. Second, fixed pay is an employee's commitment, their monthly commitment. It is important that you don't touch their monthly commitment. The minute their monthly commitment is compromised, do you think the employee will continue with the organization? Organization will get into a threat situation where they will lose their key resources as well. Hence, it is important you don't touch the fixed pay. That's where this short-term incentive, long-term incentive structure, all this evolved, and the CTC got further broke down into fixed, variable, and long-term incentives. Yeah. Hope I have answered your question, Amshu.
So, could I go back on my
Yes,
question
Deepak.
on the benchmark
Yeah, please.
CTC for 25 years, around 20-25 years of service?
All right. So benchmark numbers, are you looking for a specific role? I would like to understand that.
See, at our seniority, we might go on for maybe AVP HR or, senior GM HR, or let's say operations, or it could be, anything, basically HR, operations, security. So as for that, maybe the head of the vertical.
Sorry, Asha, we lost you for a couple of seconds.
I think, yes, basically head of that vertical, they could call it head admin, head HR,
Okay.
or GM, or you can say AVP HR, things like that.
Yeah. All right. So if you're looking at some certain specific functional roles, probably we can discuss one-on-one. But by and large, again, it depends on the years of experience, the seniority that a person brings in, and the relevant experience. Now, a person might be from a defense, and operational excellence that person will possess, right? Operational excellence is one of the key thing that is seen in at least the defense or government organizations. So if we are looking at in the corporate structure, if we are looking at an operational excellence role, then VP or AVP role, typically 25 years of experience. Then as I said, we also have to look at the organization size, which category they fall in. Are they
Definitely.
falling within the mid cap, small cap, or large cap? If they are falling within mid cap, I think it would range about 75 lakhs to 90 lakhs.
That's for
Yeah.
VP or AVP?
Would be for AVP. VP would be slightly higher. Again, depending on the budget and the size of the organization. See, sometimes the size of the organization will be very small, Asha. Maybe the size of the organization is just 1,000 employees, but then their revenue is in billions, right?
Yeah, I understand. The only problem is when you speak to people there,
Hmm.
so they say you have a different kind of experience, right? So now it is going to take 1 year for you, one and a half years for you to get on track. So it's like of asking for that compensation from day one, or we wait for them. Okay, after 1 year you can increase our salary or things like that once we are on track. So how do you do that?
Just give me a minute. I think my battery is running low. Just give me a
Yes,
minute. I'm so sorry.
yes.
Basanti,
हाँ जी सर.
are you? I think so you're recording this, na? वो देखो, beachwear has arrived. अबे सूट डाल के बीच पे कौन जाता है?
बॉस क्लाइंट मीटिंग ऑन दी वे, सब रास्ते में चल रहा है.
दीप्ति, when are you reaching Rajpura?
दिल्ली फॉग में बंद है पूरा.
Asha ma'am, let's plan another get together.
Sure, I'm always ready for it. तुम
हमारे
बना के कुछ लेके आओगे उस दिन? I think we are being recorded now.
All right. So, see, Asha, first thing, as I said, when they have decided you as a candidature, they would have definitely seen certain skill sets in you. They have evaluated you, right?
Yes.
Then there is no second thought that you are new to this. Let's say a person with a 25 years of experience can never be a trainee, right? When they have seen
No.
certain skill sets within you, they have fixed on your candidature. Then the organization should not say that initially we will give you this because you have less years of experience or not the relevant experience, right? But I think they should honor you by offering a salary which is, just a minute, offering you a salary which is appropriate or within the range, and not negotiating with you with a term saying that you don't have a relevant experience. If I don't have a relevant experience, then I am straight away out of the discussion. You have seen the required competencies, skills, and basis which you are fixing up my candidature.
So is it so they can say that, we take you at this level, and so accordingly the salary structure would be a notch lower, and maybe within 1 year, as per your performance, we make you the AVP or VP, and then the salary goes up. That they can do? that they
Yeah,
do?
that they can do, but then see, when they are hiring at a leadership roles, I think they just can't say that they will hire you as a management trainee and then probably after a year straight away giving an AVP or
Okay.
a VP, right? They have to see, because I'll tell you, these are certain underlying challenges that's there in the industry. Some of the companies are doing it. I personally refrain, or probably I personally advise the company not to do these things, because the minute you're taking a person as a management trainee or any level and then probably promoting after a year, right? You're disturbing two things in the organization. One is the internal parity. Second one is you're also invoking a thought to the employee saying that within a year, if they have promoted me from this level to another level, I can also be promoted in the next year, right? My thoughts will start, or probably I'll start thinking, okay, if I can get promoted in 1 year, why not next year also? I'll perform similarly from AVP to VP. Why not? While technically your role might not change, but your designation change, right? So these things, I think a lot of companies are doing it. Some of the companies are doing it, not a lot. These are not good practice. I would request you to have a concrete discussion with the concerned person. Say that while you have seen certain competencies that are required for a role that are present in me, and hence you are fixed on my candidature. When you have fixed up these things, I would request you to pursue with the designation and the appropriate role that we discussed in the beginning,
That
rather
same thing,
than,
yes, absolutely.
yeah, rather than going back and then saying that no, we'll give you this for now, and then no, we are not a junior people at this juncture.
Absolutely. Correct.
We carry
Right.
certain level of certain years of experience, and definitely when we come on board, there is lot more to do, right? The expectation is not different vis-a-vis the AVP role and a management trainee. Yeah, the expectation out of that role is whatever has been defined. So for 1 year, whatever you are going to play, right, or whatever is your deliverables, is not different vis-a-vis AVP or VP.
Correct.
Then why am I being under designated? Why am I being called something different? Right? So
Right.
I think you can have a concrete discussion around these points.
And
I hope I
sorry, one
answered.
more. Yes, you did absolutely fine. The only thing I would want to know, what we do and how much we do. So, is it right? Maybe a mid-cap company. So, should we join as a AVP? VP, I have my doubts whether they would take us as VP. So AVP or GM. So, which level do you think is good?
Yeah, I think, see, AVP and GM, if I look at the industry practice, these designations are definitely at a leadership roles. AVP or GM is a good designation or a role, if I have to call it. I'm sure if AVP is being given to you, you may check on certain points that we discussed in the past. What is your span of control? What is your business span that you are going to cover? Is it a global role or regional role or country specific role? All of that you can check. And then if it is a global role, then you gauge an understanding that yes, there will be about so many people reporting into this role, and there's the business size that I'm going to handle, and from
Right.
a region standpoint I'm going to handle a global role. That means it is more of a leadership role within a function. You will be leading a sub function, I would say.
Right. Right. Thank you so much, Deepika.
Most welcome. Yeah.
Deepak, one question from Manjunath sir was posted in the chat.
Oh, okay.
He's not able to speak because of this disturbance in his surrounding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just a minute. How long does a company take in terms of time period post deliberation on the negotiation? Do we need to follow repetitive follow-up means showing desperation? What's a better alternative? See, I think Manjunath sir, the thing is, you can in the initial stage itself, you can be very clear. Okay, what is the time frame that you are looking at the closure of this recruitment or closure of this position, right? So they will tell, I'm looking at the closure within 3 weeks from now, from the initial point, right? So that means you will get a time frame within this 3 week, things will get closed. At times, I myself I have seen it doesn't get closed within 3 weeks because what happens is, let's say everyone passes through these stages. You are also traveling parallelly to other candidates as well. In such cases, to make it little competitive, right? The hiring manager, along with the HR and the recruitment team, they will wait until 2, 3 people reach to a certain stage, and then they will take an option. They'll have their own choices. Let's say choice one, choice two, choice three, choice four. Out of these four choices, they'll again filter out. There are various mechanism of filtering it out. One basis the cost, second basis the ratings that they would have got it through the interview process, right? And then they will also look at the feasibility or the because in due course of your discussion you would definitely have spoken about certain ambitions that you would fulfill, right? In the near future, uh, will the organization be able to fulfill your ambition or will be able to reach at a certain point, right? If yes, then they'll put you as filtered on that list, and then from there on they will take it forward. So technically, once your final round is done, I think they will quickly start negotiating, and then once the negotiation is done, I think negotiation should not last more than a week. That's my general assumption. If it is lasting more than a week, then probably towards the fag end, mm, they may they may have another option as well. So hence I always said that keep a window open always. Don't say that I am fixed. Beyond this, I will not be able to negotiate. You can say that yes, we can definitely negotiate. But what is the best that you can do? What is the best that you can do? What is the best that you can do? Because it is always like I go to a shop and then negotiate, right? Okay, 10% discount दे दिया, चलो 5% और दे दो. Okay, I'm from corporate, another 5%. Why can't you give me another 5%? Right? So सब ओके 20% डिस्काउंट हो गया. ये तो हो गया यार, मैंने इतना सारा चीज लिया है. So why don't you give me another 5%? So it's something like that. So you just keep negotiating, but at the same time you keep saying that okay, I'm still open. It's not, you're not saying okay, if you don't give me 25% discount, I'll not take this product. You are having a product in your hand, that means you're still open, but you're not closing it. So you think that okay, beyond this they'll not be able to do it, you have to close the deal. Otherwise someone else will back the deal. It's how you read between the lines. I would just say that.
Deepak, one question, like whenever, like Amshua also had asked this question, whenever you are taking time for negotiation, how to convey the same point to the HR or recruiter? What should we actually say if the offer is rolled out and you want some time for negotiation? Because obviously to do this market survey and other things, it will take minimum time. So how to go about it?
See, Basanti, I think we have to be, the minute you get a call, that's a trigger point for you to start your research. You should not wait until the last minute. The minute you get a call, you share certain information, your resume, all of that. You check, okay, what is the budget? You gauge that information. Yes, you have it. Now your work starts, where you will start doing your research and analysis. Okay, what is market saying for this role? Where am I? What is the best that this organization can offer? All these three information is there. So by the time you complete your research, your other interviews are scheduled and it gets closed. By the time they come to the final negotiation, always remember one thing, negotiation will be done before the offer is rolled out. Generally, they don't roll out the offer and then they negotiate, because the minute the offer is rolled out, that means you are fixed. Beyond this, it will be very difficult. Now imagine I as a person have said, okay, I'll offer a X person, okay, 30 lakhs. Now we have rolled out the offer without even negotiating it, without even knowing the appetite of the candidate, right? I'm giving 30 lakh, but that person's requirement was 45 lakhs. Will that person join? It doesn't make sense for the organization to roll out such offer and then they'll not be able to close the deal. It is just they are wasting their time, energy, and the approval mechanism, because for all the approvals in terms of the recruitments that they do, they have to get the topmost approval within the organization. And when they have to get the topmost approval, they will be very mindful about what is that they are offering and whether the candidate can join on. If the candidate does not join, it is a black mark for the recruiters also. Yeah, it is important that we strike the right deal. So by the time you do your research and the interview gets closed, you have all your information ready, handy. At the final stage, when they do the negotiation, you have your piece of information versus what they can offer. And then finally, both the parties will come into a consensus, to a break-even point, that yes, I'm okay for X number. You're okay to give me X number. I'm fine. I'll take up your offer. Please roll out the offer. They'll roll out the offer. They'll give you 2-3 days of time for you to accept the offer, which is in principle on paper, right? They'll roll out an offer to you. You will confirm. And on the other hand, let's say if you are already serving in an organization, you will put down your papers and all of that stuff happens. So the minute you put down your papers, it is like hot cake in the market, because your availability or in the market is very high now. Your tenure or the notice period gets reduced, right? The minute notice period gets reduced, that means every company wants a resource immediately. No one wants to wait for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. How soon you can join? Tell me. If I can join tomorrow, you will get the offer. If I can join after 30 days, no, sorry, there is another person who can join tomorrow. Close. So these are certain points that they will consider. It is important for the organization to consider these points. Why? Because for me, the business need, if this role is working on a certain project, and that project has to be delivered soon. Earlier the better. If these roles are billable roles, then early the person joins, organization will start getting bill on these roles. And hence, it is also known as JIT hiring, just in time hiring. The requirement is given, they close it within a week's time, close. There are various ways of hiring as well. JIT hiring is there, proactive hiring is there, strategic hiring is there. Certain leadership roles, hiring will be different. Headhunting will be done. Poaching, technically it's not known as poaching, but then I would say headhunting. That's the appropriate word. Yeah.
Thank you, Deepak. Anyone else has any questions so that we can. Yeah, thank you so much, Deepak, for taking out time. And we have actually got a lot of insights how to negotiate, how to actually read a offer letter. That was a main, concern for us, and we did not know these many aspects of negotiations. So I'll just stop the recording.
Yeah, if I think